Well, hello, beautiful, and welcome back to Unstuck and Friggin' Fabulous, episode number 73. I am Irene Lidval, and this is the next chapter of Becoming Her, my real, unfiltered journey back to myself, one promise at a time. Well, I thought this episode was going to sound very different. I thought I was going to come on here and tell you about my walks. I thought I would tell you that I had been eating plenty of protein, feeling stronger, getting back into my routine, and generally being a wonderfully disciplined woman with her life together. But, you know, the version, the uplifting montage, the matchmaking active wear, the fridge full of beautiful prepared food, the morning walk with the sun hitting my face at exactly the right angle, right? Very inspiring, very becoming her, very Instagram-ish. But that is not what happened. I have been sick for weeks and I've been out. No, I haven't been out doing my walks. I have been in bed. At first, I was in bed for 10 days, and then I got on antibiotics for 10 days. And 3 days after I finished that, I got sick again with the same thing, chest infection. And then I got back on stronger antibiotics with steroids. And I was actually struggling. I didn't make any progress after 4 days. But after 5 days on those heavy antibiotics, I'm finally recovering. So no special meals because the medication indicated that I couldn't have anything magnesium or calcium, so no dairy, and just bed rest, and I was just happy to be breathing. It was not a funny place to be, so, well, no, I didn't even think about losing weight. I was just thinking about recovering. So, when I was thinking, what shall I talk to you about today? I have nothing to report. But, I realized that this is the report. This is the real work. Because becoming her was never meant to be a performance of perfection. It was never meant to be 30 days of proving that I can follow a plan without interruption. It was meant to be a real journey back to me and back to you, and a real life experience. And real life interrupts us. That's how it works. Bodies get sick, energy disappears, and plans fall apart. Motivation changes, and families needs us, or we need them, and work becomes demanding. Grief arrives, hormones have their own bloody agenda. Some weeks simply refuse to cooperate with the vision we had of how it should be. So today I want to talk about what it means to become her when nothing goes to plan. What does it mean to keep a promise to yourself when the original promise is no longer possible? So what is the difference between being flexible and giving up, hey? And can a week that looks like nothing from the outside still be part of your transformation? Of course it can. In fact, I think these are the weeks that tells us who we are really becoming. When I began this series of Becoming Her Again, I made it about small promises, not a massive declaration, no punishing routines, not waking up one morning as an entirely different woman, but small promises repeated consistently. A walk, more protein, choices that helps me feel stronger, clearer, and more connected to myself. And I mean everything. And I meant that as a promise because that matters. I wasn't pretending. I wasn't setting myself up to fail. On day one, I was genuinely ready. I had the intention, I had the desire, I could see the woman I wanted to become. But my body said no. Actually, darling, I'm still not recovered. But is it rude? Nah, it's reality. And this is where so many of us get caught. We believe that if we were serious enough, disciplined enough, or committed enough, reality wouldn't interfere. But it does. We think a committed woman always follows through in exactly the way she planned. So, when we cannot do that, we don't just change the plan. We question ourselves. Here I go again. I knew I wouldn't stick to it. Why can't I ever be consistent? I always ruined it. Do you know that voice? I do. And notice how quickly it turns a circumstance into an identity. The circumstance is I became sick. The story becomes, can I really trust myself? Those are not the same things. One is something that happened. The other is a verdict about who I am, right? And if I am rebuilding self-trust, I cannot keep placing myself on trial every time life changes the schedule. Maybe you've done this too, I don't know, but I've certainly done it in the past. So maybe this is the lesson for me this time around. You know, we planned the exercise 3 times a week, but your child got sick so you couldn't. You planned to cook, but you worked late and had nothing left in you, no more energy. So you did a takeout, and that's okay. And maybe you planned to launch something or apply for something or organize something or finally make that decision. And then the week became something totally different. But the painful part isn't always the disrupted plan. Often, it's the meaning that we actually attach to that. We make the disruption mean we are maybe lazy, weak, or unreliable, behind, or incapable of change. And then, because we feel ashamed, we distance ourselves from the very woman we were trying to become. We might say, oh, I start again when I can do it properly. Monday, next month, after the holidays, when work settles down, when we feel motivated, when life becomes beautifully predictable, which is adorable because when has life ever been beautifully predictable? The transformation cannot depend on uninterrupted conditions, really. Because if it does, it isn't a transformation. It's a temporary routine that only works when nothing goes wrong. But life is not that easy. I once heard that, to really be happy, you have to be miserable 50% of the time. Otherwise, you wouldn't know when you were happy or when things were good if you didn't have the bad times. So 50-50 is okay, right? Because becoming her must include that messy stuff too. It must include the tried day, the disappointing results, the emotional wobble, and the moment when the plan becomes impossible. Otherwise, we're only becoming her in theory. And you know what? That's not real. Nobody can be perfect all the time or happy all the time or feeling good about themselves all the time. That's not life. We are surrounded by transformation stories that removes the middle. There is the before picture, then there is the triumphant after picture. There is day 1 and then day 30. So what happens to the gap? Huh? There is the big decision, then the new life, right? But where are the ordinary Tuesdays? Where is the middle? Where is the week when you didn't feel well or you couldn't do what you wanted to do? Where is the day we cried when we changed our minds, rested, ate whatever we could, and wondered whether any of it was working? The middle is where life is actually built. And I think we need to talk about it more honestly. Because when we only see polished progress, we start believing that disruption is evidence we are doing it wrong. That's a big friggin' lie. It isn't. Disruption is part of the curriculum. The question is not, can I execute perfectly when everything supports me? The question is, who am I when it doesn't? Do I become cruel to myself? Do I declare the whole thing a failure? Do I disappear from my own life until I feel impressive again? Or do I stay? The word feels important to me. Stay. Can I stay emotionally available to myself even when I'm disappointed? Can I listen to my body without treating it as an inconvenience? Can I tell the truth without making the truth humiliating? Or can I say, this week did not go as planned and I'm still here? That to me is self-trust. Self-trust is not trusting that you will control every outcome. It is trusting that you will not abandon yourself inside the outcome. Self-trust is not trusting that you will control every outcome. It is trusting that you will not abandon yourself inside the outcome. That is a very different kind of promise. It is actually stronger than I will never miss a walk, because it says, all right, if I miss the walk, I will get curious before I get cruel. It's stronger than I will eat perfectly. It says, I will nourish myself as well as I genuinely can today. It's stronger than I will never fall behind, because it says, when life changes, I will find myself again without shame. That is the woman I want to become, and I want you to become. Not a woman who never gets knocked off course, because we all do. Because as a woman, we know how to return, don't we? You, a question. At the heart of this whole series, there is a question. Who am I becoming? And I think we often answer that question with external things. You know, she's fit, she's confident, she's successful, she looks good, she has energy, she gets things done, she keeps her word. Well, lovely, right? But who is she when those external signs are unavailable? Who is she in bed with no energy? And who is she after weeks with no visible progress? Who is she when nobody is applauding? That is where identity becomes real, my darling. For me, her is not simply the woman who completed the walk. She is the woman who has a respectful relationship with herself. She's honest about what she wants and honest about what she can do. She has standards, but she does not use them as a weapon. She takes responsibility, but she does not turn every setback into blame. She knows the difference between a reason and an excuse. She can challenge herself without bullying herself. Very important, because she understands that discipline and tenderness belong in the same room, especially in a sick room. She does not have to earn the right to care for herself by being productive first. And when life knocks her off course, she does not stand at the side of the road screaming abuse at herself. She checks what hurts. She takes a breath, if she can. She adjusts the map. Then, when she's ready, she keeps going. That woman is not weak. She is deeply trustworthy because her promise are not based on controlling life. Her promise and promises to herself are based on how she will meet herself inside life. So here is my honest report from this week. I was sick. I did not do the walks I had planned. I did not eat the way I had imagined. I do not have any glowing transformation update for you. I am disappointed because I genuinely wanted to begin differently, and I am not going to make that disappointment mean that I failed. And I'm learning that becoming her includes listening. It includes adjusting. It includes telling the truth when the truth is not particularly glamorous. It includes refusing to disappear simply because I do not have an impressive result to share. And perhaps recording this episode is one of the promises I can keep. Not because I have mastered the lesson, but because I'm willing to live it out loud. That is what I want this series to be. Not me standing at the finishing line telling you how to get there, but me walking with you, sometimes slowly, sometimes strongly, sometimes sitting down for a minute because life has other ideas, but still here, still in conversation, and still becoming. So, my beautiful girl, if your week has not gone to plan, I want you to hear this. You do not need to produce evidence of progress in order to remain worthy of your own respect. You do not need to turn a difficult week or weeks into a character assessment. You do not need to start your entire life again on Monday. You can actually pause because you can adjust. You can tell the truth. You can choose one small promise that fits the life and the body you actually have today. And when you can do more, you can do more without punishment, without shame, without pretending the difficult weeks did not happen. Because the difficult weeks did not interrupt you becoming, it revealed it. It gave you the opportunity to practice a different relationship with yourself, one where you do not disappear when you are disappointed, one where flexibility does not mean you have stopped caring, and one where rest does not have to be earned. Very important there, right? And one where you can hold your standards and your humanity at the same time. So ask yourself today, what is actually true? What do I genuinely need? What is the promise I can realistically keep? And how can I return without punishment? Maybe becoming her is not proving that I can do everything I promised. Maybe becoming her is proving that even when I can't, I will no longer abandon myself. That is not what this is about. And that is my promise this week, to stay on my own side, to let recovery be recovery, to keep the vision even when the methods had to change, and to remember that I am not back at the beginning. I'm right here with you in the middle, that Tuesday or a Thursday or a Wednesday of a real life, learning how to return to myself, one honest choice, one flexible promise, one imperfect week at a time. And I want to thank you for being here with me. It means a lot to me to have you by my side. And if this episode spoke to you, share it with a woman who is giving herself a hard time because life interrupted her plan. Remind her that she has not failed. Remind her that she is allowed to adjust, but not quit. And remind her that she does not have to become a perfect woman. She only has to stop abandoning the woman she already is. And I'll be back with the next chapter of Becoming Her again. Until then, stay honest, stay kind, stay on your own side, and keep becoming the unstuck and friggin' fabulous woman you were always meant to be. I'll talk to you soon, beautiful.